live. Yo, yo.
Welcome. Howdy. This is the Baseball Hippie Show. I'm your host, the Baseball Hippie. I got with me my man, co-host, and engineer extraordinaire, Brownbear. Brownbear, how you doing?
Yo, what's good? Doing okay. Would be better if the Mariners won that game. That was disappointing. But what do we expect with the Mariners, man? What do we expect?
Well, hopefully by the end of the show, your spirits are lifted. I do not connect my emotions with the Mariners as much as possible. I know you were invested, though.
Smart
I had
man.
a class.
Smart man.
You were watching. I'll give you that. I had a class, so I wasn't invested. When you watch any 9-inning game and you're rooting for a team, they're winning by 4 the whole game. They crumble in the 8th. Ooh, the trippy effect. Yeah, it's dirt.
Yeah, not good. Not a good way to lose a game. They were dominating the whole time. But hey, that's Mariners. That's Mariners. But yeah, other than that, I'm doing good. Chill Tuesday night. How you doing?
Man, grooving on the copyright-free jazz, generic jazz that goes with our Space Needle Cam. Shout out to the Space Needle Cam.
Shout out Space Needle Cam.
Yeah, shout out all our listeners. We postponed the show a couple minutes just to catch the end of this game. But
what a stupid idea. What a stupid
Montero threw a nasty changeup to Muncy. And then Gavin Lux, who's had probably one of their biggest struggles of any of their prospects, chose an interesting night to break out of his shell. Actually, his first homer at Dodger Stadium.
Was it really?
Ever. That's what the stat line flashed.
Jeez.
So the Mariners have finally hit their rough patch. We can officially say after they lost that Orioles series.
Yep. Rough patch.
Are we
indeed.
bad, though? I wouldn't necessarily put us in that category, considering one of
we're
our
still
best.
a 500 team.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
And there's a lot of 500 teams. So we'll get into that later. Before we get into that, kind of want to do this shout out, man. I've been excited about this shout out. First off, obviously shout out Tobes for coming on the show last week. That was tight. We got into the international game deep dive. We talked about the Bauer controversy at length. And man, Tobes is sworn. He thinks the Mariners have something special, so I kind of believe him. And I'm going to the Kelenic game on Thursday, bro, with DT. So there's stuff to look forward to, I guess, in Mariners world. Baseball world's been kind of wacky, but let's get to that first shout out. We saw this guy on Reddit live a while back, and he's just kind of cool. He kind of aspire to have his fan base. We don't really bring like a skill to the live YouTube world, but he's on Twitch and he's on Reddit, and his name is Calvin. What is it? What's the tag name?
Calvin214.
Calvin214. And basically, he takes Jenga blocks. He pretty much always starts with one single block at the bottom. And then he builds out on them and just answers questions and talks about his life. And he's kind of an interesting dude.
Let me get a shot in here of him real quick.
Yeah, we'll get you a shot of what it looks like. But definitely shout out this dude. If you're ever on Twitch, I think his name on Twitch is Manga TV. But just look up Jenga guy on Google.
Yeah, we're Reddit user Calvin214. That's another way to find him.
Yeah, Reddit user Calvin214. His live Reddit's probably the best though, because the live Reddit's a vertical, like it's a vertical feed for some reason, I think, and it just like makes more sense. But he has made some crazy inventions. So yeah, we got the live. Also, shout out to the live Space Needle cam in the back. Shout out former Mariner Wade Miley, another no hitter. Shout out Tobes, and then shout out. We made this shout out a couple weeks ago, or maybe even last week. We get the light on it. It's straight up. Jelly donut gumballs. So I'm gonna try this before the weekly roundup. We're gonna see about the jelly donut. Okay, this is sped up, obviously, but it's always usually one Jenga for the listeners. One Jenga block. He holds world records for this, and he says he has over 4,000 blocks. Because I watch these, they're pretty peaceful too. He puts on the jazz music in the back. He swears a lot. Because when it does move, like right there, you see when it moves, he has to put counterweights. He also messes up and has to put counterweight, like that he wasn't expecting to put. But this little beehive thing is cool. Oh, that's the world record. Oh, you can kind of almost see it moving.
Oh no!
Like, it always falls. It always falls. He's cool, man. Manga. It's like he's like the Jenga man.
Anyway, shout out
Calvin.
Yeah, manga _TV.
At Twitch. His Twitch is pretty good because the people, there's little like, it's kind of interactive. You'll have to see it, but man, we just shout out cool shit. It's psychedelic. It's a good way to waste an hour and like just get in it's live, you know? So just like our show, anything could happen, you know? The chat is active. Speaking of that, man, we have any listeners out there? Here I go. Brown Bear. Are you ready for this? It's my birthday next week, so I kind of got these as an early birthday present.
Here's his, before we get into that real quick.
Oh,
These are his, where to find Manga Man.
Okay. And again, oh yeah, shout out to our Spotify listeners. I didn't get the last show with Tobes up on Spotify, but I'll get it up tomorrow morning. And then we'll have this show up after that. But Manga Man X. Wait. I was gonna read, but it doesn't matter. You guys can just pull up on the YouTube. You'll see it. Manga TV on YouTube, on Twitch. Yeah. I can't wait for. Man, I'm gonna watch him after this show. It's so peaceful, man. It's So
it's pretty chill.
All right, Bram, are you ready for this?
Yeah, get it, dude. Let's hear about this jelly donut.
With great filling.
Did you have to order this online, or did you find this at a store somewhere?
I ordered it online. I couldn't even I was just in a late night peruse.
I doubt it sells in store. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I was in
a
perusing session, and it was rare candy. Okay, it smells like a straight sugar thing. It's kind of hard. Should I crack into it, show the jelly, or should I just go? I'm gonna eat 2, by the way, unless they're gross. Let's go.
Let's see what's inside of it.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. It's really hard, but I think that's on purpose. All right, there's some classic. Sorry if this is gross to anybody, but there's some classic double bubble flavor in there. There's a little purple. I thought it was gonna be like jelly. Here, you see that purple?
I see the purple.
It's like more like candied. It's got a double bubble flavor though.
Just like classic bubblegum flavor.
Yeah, it tastes a lot like double bubble, weirdly, but it's brown, yeah. And it doesn't like ooze like a gusher. And it's hard, but I think that's on purpose. Because double bubble is kind of hard when you first chew into it. All right, I'm not going to chew the rest because I shouldn't just chew on the mic, actually. But I also want to say, shout out, you know that tin I was talking about? It showed up. I already mixed some gum in it, but I almost ate it all.
Okay. That's the Big League Chew mix pack right there.
Yeah, here. All right, that's how I'll show it. Wait.
Yep, back a little bit more. There you go, right there.
Yeah, so I just mix it up. This is my mixer. So now I have a tin where I can mix my gum. And actually, it's gonna sound gross to a lot of people, but for my early birthday again, I spent $30 and I got 40 packs of gum, 5, 6. No, I think I got 5 packs of 5 different flavors of Big League 2 coming next week. I'm gonna keep it in my closet.
Any rare flavors or just the standards?
Nah, it just doesn't have strawberry, which I'm kind of bummed about. But watermelon grape was insane. And then when you twist a little apple, sour apple, it's unreal. And it's honestly, man, I've tried a lot. I like bubblegum. And to me, and maybe other people have a different opinion, especially the world record holders maybe, but I think Big League's the best. I think the reason it's cut up like that, not to just mimic chewing tobacco, is because it blows a better, like a bigger bubble. For some reason, when you first chew the gum and it's in different parts, when it amalgamates, it makes a better bubble that way. So if you cut up other types of gum, you might have the same effect. It's just to shred it. I think that's what they figured out. That they were shredding their gum and blowing much bigger bubbles. Because there are bubble scientists out there in the bullpen. You know, you blow a lot of bubbles if you're chewing bubblegum. So.
You fuck with the blue raspberry? You get any blue raspberry?
Let me go look up my order right now just to make sure I'm... But I thought it was gross at first, but I'm grown. I'm not going to eat it all at once. I'm not going to eat it excessively. I'm not going to eat it every day. And in a lot of ways, it's better than tobacco or tobacco product. So, yeah, it's grape, watermelon, green apple, blue raz, and rags. 5 each. So I'll just have it on Stee anytime I want to watch games and just want to mix some gum, or if friends come over want some gum.
I'm a blue raz guy myself.
I'll have a pack for you when I come visit, man. It's because I got packs now. I'm like a mini distributor.
Sponsored. I
bought the rare collector's tin, man. I'm a huge... Okay, I wish they'd use regular sugar. I don't like the high fructose corn syrup, and I think it's bad for you, so for everybody listening. But I put it up the other day. I was thinking about it. I was like, it's bad for you, but like, it is not bad as other vices. It's just gum, dude. So like, if you die because you chew too much bubble gum, then damn, they took you out. Then fuck it. That's how you were supposed to go. That's how I feel. I mean, honestly, you probably shouldn't eat too much of this jelly donut stuff. I don't know. The rare stuff you really don't want to intake too much because you might be the only person to have chewed that much, you know, so they don't have the research. As in Big League 2 is widely used. So they know you'll probably lose all your teeth or, you know, there's other health effects. I'm not trying to make fun of it, but anyways, man, I chew a little gum here and there, mix it up in my tin. That's how the baseball hippie does. Blow that rally bubble. That gum's pretty good. I'm gonna put it out now. Shout outs. I guess I'm doing my birthday month now because we talked about my birthday a few times. I'm ready for the weekly roundup. I think Mr. Froggy is too. I'm loving the live Space Needle cam. We're just going live. Anything could happen.
Yeah,
we saw
an
elevator.
Legit. Pretty legit. We did see the elevator. It's a little late for the elevator. Do they run that all day, you think? They just keep it running?
Nah, it's from like 11 to 7, I think, or 11 to 9 is the hours. But
do you think they turn it off or do they keep it going at night?
I was one time up really late when we were moving in, talking to my mom, and she it was 3 a.m. and it ran, and we were like, what the fuck? But she was like, oh, they're probably cleaning. That made sense. But yeah, I think they do maintenance and clean at night. Yeah, I love the Space Needle, man. It's a trip.
Now I need to know
if they run well, they definitely, it's not open to the public. It's got
no hours. I know that that's not, I guess that's not what I'm asking, is if it just keeps running up and down just like for the look.
No. Okay, I don't know. That's a great question, but I doubt run without a human being on it. That just seems like a waste. They run it pretty frequent. So.
Yeah,
they're always doing something. It's big up there, man. They gotta clean it. They got to do like major maintenance on like it's a unique structure, so it needs like unique maintenance, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's pretty cool for a useless building.
It's pretty useless, but I'll hope it inspires more useless buildings because we're pretty egalitarian about our building of structures in our society where like everything just has to have like a square inch devoted to something, as in the Space Needle to me just kind of
I guess useless is a little dark. I mean more like,
nah, you're just stating a fact, man.
Yeah. You're right.
It is like, it does not like it's not an office building, that's for fucking sure. I guess you could have a wedding there, you know, like as a convention, like I don't know.
There's a restaurant there, man. They're making money.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I don't know. I didn't think that restaurant. That's weird you said that, man. Because I was like saying to myself, like, I don't think that restaurant made a lot of money because it's not there right now. And I was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then I Googled it, and they were on the Forbes list one year in like 2016 for like the 6th most grossing restaurant in America. So they do make a lot of money. I was wrong, but I was like, oh no, just like, was it frequent? Like, but no, it's probably sold out every night because it's just a day spot, and there's people with a lot of money out here. So yeah, man, you're making me want to chew gum, but I shouldn't on the show. Should I dip into my big league, or is that rude to the listeners?
Nah, let's not do that.
Let's not? Okay, good. Nah. Thanks for saying that. Also, shout out to Tobes. I told him this after the show. How, like, I'm not going to run a half-ass sorry, my fart. What do we call them? Those interviews in the batter's box. Because some of the in the batter's box have been great, man. There's a great curveball, great fastball. But I asked him, how was your batter's box? And he said, no hesitation, 3.5. And I didn't even give him the parameters. I didn't even say 1 to 10, which is what I think he thought I was thinking. But even 1 to 5, it's not a great score. So I was like, man. And the one before that with you was not that good either.
I thought mine was decent this year.
Okay. Well, I'm going to bring it on the next one, man. I think I need to just do it before the show, take some real time, and get a good either fastball or curveball.
Preparation is key. Preparation is key.
Yeah, it sure is, man. Well, yeah, man. Just another week, another baseball hippie. Again, if you're in the chat, hit us up. You know what we do, baseball podcasts about baseball and psychedelia, man. I think we've covered both real well so far. So let's get to the weekly roundup. That was our shout out segment. Here in the weekly roundup, we've got straight Wade Miley pitching another no-hitter. So that makes 4 no-hitters on the season, which makes it the fastest no-hitters since, does this say 1916? So I'm getting off the notes.
1917, I think. I remember. I didn't double check that, but that's what I remember reading the other day.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and I think it was only by like a day. I think this happened on the 6th or the 7th, and Wade Miley's, and it was the 5th in 1917. And yeah, I don't know, man. Is that too many no hitters? I guess if it stops there, it's not. But if we have 4 no hitters a month, is that a bad thing?
We made
baseball?
A big deal about the first one, and each one has significantly gotten less play on the pod. But man, can you tell the listeners what you wrote on the notes a little more too? Which is, I thought it was interesting what the point about the lowering of the mound in 1968.
Yeah, I was making notes about, for one, is that too many no hitters? Are the pitchers too good? Is it affecting the competitiveness of the game from an offensive standpoint? I guess the last time this happened was after the 1968 season. The batting averages were super low, and I think this is back in I want to say Bob Gibson was like the main pitching G at that time, and
the DeGrom. Just kidding.
No, I mean,
but he was a monster in the playoffs too, which kind of put him apart, I think.
Yeah, it was him, and I want to say Tom Seaver as well. But anyway, after the 1968 season, they lowered the pitching mound because they said it was just too, the pitching was too dominant in the game. And I think they call it the year of the pitcher, 1968, something like that. I've heard it referred to.
Yeah.
The current league batting average, I know it's a small sample size. We're heading towards, what would this be, the 3rd month of baseball. But the league batting average is looking currently at 234, and that's lower than in 1968, the year before they lowered the mound to where it's at currently.
Well, just as a fan and a person who does a baseball podcast, what's your inkling on what's going on this year?
So
if you haven't,
yeah, I don't know. I think it's a few different. I think pitching has improved in the way that pitchers are developed, and the way that pitchers are conditioned has changed. We see pitchers regularly not going beyond 6 innings. If you go 7 or 8 innings in a game, that's super rare. Most pitchers are 5 or 6 innings a game, if that. And that gives pitchers an opportunity to go out there and give 100% from the first inning on. They don't have to worry about reserving themselves. They don't have to worry about like changing your approach. Like, oh, I'm going to go out there with fastball changeup for the first 3 innings, and then I'm going to hit him with breaking balls from the 4th inning on. I think the way the league is set up currently, or the way the pitching in particular is set up currently, is go out there and mow them down with velocity as much as you can. And with the work going on around like spin rate and things like that, pitchers trying to increase their spin rate, trying to increase their fastball speed, potentially leading to these lower averages that we're seeing. Combine that with a different batting approach than there has been in the past, which is, you're going to strike out a lot, whatever. As long as when you do hit it, you hit a home run, or you're working on your slugging, you're hitting a home run or extra base hits. That's what's key. So we're seeing the change in the batting approach combined with this more dominant pitching, which, if you are really into baseball, is fine, because I think you and I both, we would watch a dominant pitching game and be entertained by that. But if you're trying to entice this newer generation of fans, or you're trying to entice people with a shorter attention span, or people from other sports who, aren't able to sit there and watch a 3 or 4 hour long baseball game, and we all know that MLB is trying to work on the length of game issue. You want to see more offense for multiple reasons. For one, it's to the base level fan, a game with a lot of offense is more exciting than watching a pitcher's duel. And then in terms of speeding up the game, if there's more scoring, there are going to be less of those 1-0, 0-0, 1-1 situations that lead to extra innings. If we have games that are more 10-6 because there's a bunch of hits and a bunch of home runs and stuff like that, it's more exciting, potentially going to speed the game up.
Yeah, I've also heard of them. This is what Josh Jacob Jangleheimer Schmidt said, that they're thinking about moving the mound back a half an inch or an inch or something. Nothing crazy, but enough that it would give the hitter a little bit of an advantage. I gotta say, though, as you're talking, I didn't think about this as we started, but I'm gonna connect this straight to the Bauer controversy we talked about last week, because I also read something this week that, when we should look this up before the show's end, about hit batters is up higher than it's ever been. So pitchers are pitching with higher velocity and less control than they really have. And that's a hefty statement, so I don't want to say that as a straight fact, but that's what the article was insinuating. And I think it has, if that's the case, I think that it has to do with the Bauer substance, where what he's trying to say, I think, is that every pitcher in today's game uses this substance that I think is something like pine tar. Mr. Tobertson thinks it's weed resin. And it could be clear, but whatever it is, it made Garrett Cole a lot of money, according to Trevor Bauer. It also made Trevor Bauer a lot of money. But that video is damning. The fact that Trevor Bauer commented on the video makes it even more damning to me, even though he kind of was a side piece. But 3 is, I think Manfred's office, his backdoor private meetings are pretty intense right now, between the Mariners Mather thing that happened at the beginning of the year, where these contracts with players is definitely top heavy in the league. We've got the robo umps possibly coming down the pipeline, and then this, I think, is big. Brownbear, I think this is going to drop. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year, but I think this substance on pitchers could have to do with why batters are getting dominated this year. I don't know. These blanket statements are hard too, because as someone who's watching, I see a lot of home runs, like you said. So I'm I don't know if the hitters are necessarily getting dominated, because
but that's what I guess that's part of the issue, is that if everyone is swinging for a home run, it's this all or nothing approach. It's a home run or it's a strikeout. There's less normal base hits happening. There's less singles, doubles, things like that. Which, if you happen to tune in and catch the home run when it happens, that's exciting and that's awesome. But if you want a game where there's something like tangible happening on every play, where you see more awesome like defensive infield plays, things like that, you want there to be other types of hits. You want there to be a diversity in the offense rather than this all or nothing approach. Which, I mean, with the current pitching approach of just like blasting 98 to 101 mile an hour fastballs in there, all you really got to do is stick the bat in the right place with the right angle, and you're going to hit a home run. So, I mean, that's an extreme simplification of it. It takes a lot more than that to hit a fastball. But, I think the approach of the pitching is conducive with the current offensive approach, which is kind of why you're seeing that. It's like, okay, well, if they're going to come at me like this, I'm going to come at them like this, And if you can get paid $300 million to hit home runs, and you figure out a way to hit home runs consistently, of course you're going to do that. So they're paying for that as well. That's like the third aspect to it, is that is what batters are being paid to do, is to hit the home run. So.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I think we're pointing out because it's really about the changes that would lead to this. And I think I'm trying to say there could be a substance that pitchers use that makes the ball sticky, and therefore makes it come off your finger at high velocity, like super more spin, lots of crazy. And you're saying that batters are now, the metrics are different on how we judge a batter. So like a home run hitter just needs to get 30 homers, and his batting average doesn't need to be 300 like it might have had to used to. And I think it's probably somewhere in the middle would be my guess. It's a combination of lots of those. But gut feeling, are you with or against the changing of a mound at the end of the season if the batting average stays this way?
I would like to see it a little more balanced. Like I said, I find enjoyment in either form of the game. If like I could watch a bunch of no-hitters being thrown and appreciate what the pitcher is doing. But I think the reality is a lot of baseball fans watch baseball for offense. They're not watching baseball to watch the pitcher. If you're at a live game, it's harder to watch the pitcher if you're sitting in the 300 section. I feel like there's less angles in the park to watch and enjoy a dominating pitching performance, and actually get the most of it. I think that comes with viewing it on TV, which is where I think most people probably watch the most of their games. There's not a lot of season ticket holders in the general population of baseball. I think the majority of fans probably watch the games on TV, right? So in that sense, if you can get people interested in what's happening with pitching, I think you're fine there. But I guess to answer the question and to not drone on too much about it, I think having more balance in more diversity in the type of offense, more balance in the competitiveness between offense and pitching will lead to a more interesting game and will fix issues like the length of game that they seem to think is an issue, which I get it. Not everyone's got 4 hours to stick to a baseball game.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'd rather see that. I'd rather see balancing the competitiveness of the game to affect the length of game issue than putting a bunch of arbitrary clocks on people and limiting how many batters a reliever has to face, and how long a mound visit can be. And I get all of that. It was getting egregious in some sense. But I would rather see a balance of play than arbitrary time rules. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't want changes in the mound necessarily. I'm kind of like a purist in some sense, but if the change happened, I wouldn't just like quit watching baseball or something. Like I'm with you. I like more offense. I don't necessarily see the changes as bad. I like the organic way that baseball has become um what it is today. So I guess I don't know. I just
No, I mean, I'm with you. I guess I don't really see it as bad either. But when I say this stuff, I'm thinking more of like the inevitable longevity of the game, like the effect on the longevity of the game that it has. Like, if we need to get more people interested in baseball so that baseball continues and that baseball is an accessible thing, I think it's got to be a little more diverse in terms of like the what's going on in the field.
yeah, I think you're right about that. I don't know though. Okay, here's my take on the whole. It's like I, I'm into hip hop, and hip hop is dead has been a phrase since like 2000. I think we talked about this on the show. So that's
Mm-hmm.
been 21 years of like one of my favorite musical genres being like dead. I could name a lot of great artists that came out of those 20 years. So it's like, yeah, I don't think it's the golden era, and like the Cleveland teams and the Seattle teams of the 90s were stacked with players that could hit over 300 or 280. No one was treading the Mendoza line, as they call it, but I see it as stages. And I do think the pitching is really good, especially the velocity, but I foresee organically a team just stacking up in 10 years with all the prospects and getting like a well-oiled machine, much like the Royals, or even like the Royals that won the championship. They were a
Mm-hmm.
pretty good
Mm-hmm.
small ball team. And in
Yeah.
terms of getting players, fans to watch more, I kind of just am like, I think I either don't have my eye on the prize, or I just am like delusional, but I'm more just in this like, I think getting more into characters, people's story. I don't know. Like if you're not into watching baseball, and then like you're into it because they can score more hits or something. I
But I
don't think
think that
it's
would lead.
that. Yeah.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad.
I guess what I'm saying is the game is like corporatized, and they've missed the part that makes baseball fun to me, which is kind of the beer drinking part. Not that it's just drinking. You don't have to drink. But it's like that's a big part of it. It's a dad sport, like they should be going harder on the like Americana of the game. They got a hippie doing a podcast about the game. It's like I think that's really the Maple Grove to me. That's how they get fans. Like that kind of shit is wild, and I'm glad the Mariners were on to that. But like maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong about a lot of things in the game. I can say this real quick before you finish up though, is I do think there's a scandal brewing with the Bauer stuff, and I think that there's big changes in the future of baseball, and I think I just see static coming in. And baseball's already gone through a lot in the last couple of years, but I see more coming. I really do.
Yeah, I think they renegotiate the terms with the Players Association next off season. I think the current bargaining agreement expires after this year.
They're
So,
far from an agreement, it feels like. Or Buster
oh
Olney
yeah,
saying that the
I don't
players
think,
get screwed again. Yeah.
but yeah, I don't think MLB and the Players Association are on the same page, and I don't really particularly think they get along. So we'll see. But I
Yeah.
think to wrap it up, I think I'm with you. Fan engagement on a level of, like the beer drinking, the like cheering sections, things like that is important. And I feel like diversifying the way the game is played will lead to more of that, because I really believe, I think like the average fan who doesn't watch every single game, who didn't play baseball, who's not into the stats of it, I think it would be easier to hook people in if there was more, I guess, what you consider more action. I feel like there's plenty of action if you're watching every pitch that a pitcher throws,
Yeah.
because you're seeing him break these guys down, you're seeing the pitcher's approach. But to go also what you were saying with like, like marketing the game, having more, I think having a diversity in the way it's played would lead to more stars and like more like a better way to market the game. But rather than just there being, a cup, like
Yeah.
one or two,
No, I hear you.
one or
I
two
do
big
hear you on
hitters,
that.
and then like
Yeah.
a bunch of good pitchers. So I don't know.
Like Pete Rose and Ichiro and like and Ricky Henderson, and like just eras where like there were people who, I'm with you. Also, the batting average itself, the stat is extremely low. Like the amount of 300 hitters last year was astonishing to years prior. It was like a short list, as in years prior, there was like 50 to 100, I think, people batting 300.
Yeah. I mean, if you just like look at any given team roster and see how many people are batting like 220
Yeah.
or below, it's pretty telling of where the game's at in terms of the offense. But then you'll see dudes hit like 220, but they have like a slugging percentage over 600. So it's like they only hit home runs or triples, So and you
I
can't
think the
blame
Mariners
them
have a
if
few
that's
of
what
those
they're getting
guys.
paid. If that's what they're
Speaking of
getting
the
paid to do.
Mariners, yeah. Well, we've tried to dig deep into it, but I think the answer is murky, dude. And I think pitching has gotten better, at least velocity, but I'm not a big excuse guy. I know that like Babe Ruth wouldn't be as good now or whatever. I'm kind of like, nah, I don't know. Like baseball is one of those sports where like the stats change and the patterns, but like I still think there was a guy in 1920 who could hit the laces off a baseball today, and vice versa. I think it's just how the game is. It's just a bat and a ball. And you either Ted Williams had good eye, man. You got a good eye. I don't know. Maybe I'm oversimplifying, but I think that's and with the excitement, I think you're right. I'm missing the ball a big time on that, mostly because I'm a huge fan. But playoffs is mad exciting to anyone. I've never seen a playoffs in the last 20 years that like didn't have some excitement to it.
And that's what I think is hard for us to say about it, because I really believe no matter how the game plays out, fans like you and I are going to find enjoyment in it. Like whether it's a home run fest or whether it's an 18 strikeout game, like I think we will find something to appreciate no matter how it plays out. But I don't think, like, I know just talking to people, like this woman I work with, she's like she's a football fan, but she like will casually watch baseball from time to time.
Okay.
And she's like, the other day asked me, she's like, is there a red zone channel for baseball? Like,
brilliant idea, by the way. That's
right?
a good
But it's
idea.
hard. But if every
On. Every time a runner gets on second, then it puts it on the red zone. Like you go watch.
But if you put
game.
it on that, and it's just like a strikeout 90% of the time. Like I don't think that's gonna hold people's like attention.
You're right. Runners on doesn't mean much because solo, you have as much a chance of scoring a run with a solo shot than you do with a runner on second and one out in baseball, in Major League Baseball today. Man, let's get back to this. That right there is super interesting. What is this lady's name? We don't have to use her full name. We can make up a name for her.
No, I can say it because her name's Maria, and I work with like 30 different Marias, so no one.
Okay, well, shout out because Maria is in this thing we got because we can't. You're right. We can't look at it from our perspective. because me and your perspective is way too objective. I'm like, I think the game's beautiful. I think this year and every year the game moves forward is the best year ever because I'm a hippie and I love baseball. So obviously that's my take. But Maria, that's how you got to look at it, is how do we get more engaging? And I think you're absolutely right. So because red zone's super popular now, comparing baseball to football is a little weird, but I get where it's going. So let's get back to that sometime. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was a good way to put it, is that if there was something like that, you would engage so many more people on it on a more immediate level, where like something impactful is going to happen to this game in this situation. And I mean, to a certain extent, they have like Baseball Tonight on MLB TV, and it does that for most fans, but it's still, they might tune into a game to watch a series of pitches and like nothing happens and then just go to the next one. So anyway, we can move on. We don't need to harp on that forever, but I think that's a good way to put it.
I think it's a great way to put it, and I've been trying to find where Moneyball's place in all this is, and I still haven't been able to pin it. Because it's not like Moneyball teams just put out 300 average hitters, but it's also not like Moneyball teams don't care that you can hit base hits, and like they don't like, it's not like Moneyball loves pop outs, but I think it's kind of a storm of all sorts of stuff. The game is in an interesting place, and it's in the right place for one guy who thinks he has his name etched as a starter in this league. Kid has a lot of confidence. We offered him a contract, and he denied us. Who would have thought? Nah, shout out to Jared Kelenic. Pretty much one of the ballerist prospects. If he got injured on his first at bat, never played a game, I'd still kind of give him a title. He's probably the brashiest prospect we've had in a long time.
I'd say so, for sure.
Mather, our president, got in trouble, like literally lost his job, partly talking shit on him. Then he gets stuck in the minors under the guise of can't hit left-handed pitching and proceeds to hit 2 home runs, was it, off of lefties? And just straight rake in the minor leagues. And now it's getting called up on Thursday, and me and DT are actually going to that game, which is rad. And I can't name a more exciting moment in modern day Seattle Mariners history as Thursday is going to be. We didn't plan it like that, but this dude's hecka confident, and he just is. I don't know. My brothers just love to tease him, man. He's got kind of like gelled hair swag, I guess you'd call it. I don't really know.
Oh, he's a big time bro for sure.
He's broed out, and I kind of love it. Like, I really think, and I've said this before, Brownbear, sometimes that kind of assholeness, there's a level of psychological thing in baseball, and I've seen it where, like, there are some players, Bauer's kind of becoming one of them. I don't love them. I can't say I'd actually hang out with them, but man, I kind of respect their game because they're competitors with it. They're like, look, if I'm going to play, I'm going to play at the top level, and I'm one of the top dogs in the world. Mm-hmm. That's how they feel about it. And I think Jared is just there. That's why you got to love a prospect like that, where he's like, look, I'm already an MLBer. That's like how he feels. So we'll see how he does, man. What do you think is going to happen? Boom or bust on the first month?
I mean, I feel like it'd be blasphemy to say anything but boom, but I don't think you'd perform the way he has at every single level and then don't do something, More so than the other recent prospects we brought up, he's just shown that he's ready. Like, I think they've been pushing off for a long time, like, oh, he didn't have any AAA experience, got no AAA experience, you want to see him there. They bring him up in his first 20 at-bats, he's hitting like 400 with a couple home runs and multiple RBIs, so I don't think you can keep him down anymore without He's 9 for 22 with 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 6 runs scored. I know he played again tonight, so I'm not sure what. I wonder if I can find the box score for that.
Well, shout out Jared Kelenic. We're all excited to see you, man. You could be the face of the Mariners. I gotta say though, remember, as he gets called up, man, I don't know what it is, but Erod, man, one of our other prospects, Eduardo Rodriguez is, I believe, right? Am I missing his name? Am I getting his name wrong?
Yeah, you talking about?
Oh my god.
Julio,
sorry. Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I won't get that wrong.
I was like, who are you talking about?
He's a little farther away. J-Rod. Sorry, I said E-Rod.
You said Erod. Yeah, no, he's in Everett right now, so he's still a couple levels away.
Yeah. Yo, I got a feeling from what I've read. I read one scout, say that he's the best prospect he's ever seen since Alex Rodriguez. And
Wow.
that's from a AA perspective.
Wow.
So I don't know. There's something about Julio Rodriguez that really intrigues me because of that article where he was like, look, this is like a once in a generation type of guy. And he's a back burner dude. So it's like, it's fun. It's fun, man. We got Gilbert. We got Logan. Oh man, I don't even know the names yet, man. We're gonna know all these things. Yeah. Also, I want to shout out, if we're talking Mariners, we gotta shout out Graveman, man. That dude's been pretty lights out, right?
Oh yeah, dude. I've seen the word
might be an all-star.
revelation written a number of times next to his name in his transition from a starter to a reliever. But yeah, he's on.
Man, as bad as we are starting to look, we got a bright future, dude. If we lose these games to the Dodgers today, it's set. You know, it doesn't go downhill, at least from here. Is how I feel. So.
Yeah. Oh, that game was ugly tonight.
That was clinical, dude.
And
that's what the champs do. No offense, but still, actually, we'll give him that.
Kelenic had another hit tonight. Kelenic hit a double tonight. He was 1 for 5. So his average is 370. Got an OPS of 1.043.
I'd say he's ready. So one comes in and one goes out. Albert Pujols gone.
DFA'd. You find that disrespectful, or you think they need to move on if he can't hit over 200?
I wonder what the discussion was, but I'm sure you got it. I think it is. Yeah. No, actually. Okay, yes, I think it's disrespectful, and yes, I think it's the right move for the Angels. It's like even Hall of Famers get disrespect. The game's harsh like that, man. Man. I'd be surprised if he plays another game in the MLB. From the last game I saw him, it was interesting. I saw him play, and I was like, man, he looks a little bit... man, I don't even want to say this on the podcast. You know I'm not a big weight guy, and the fucking MLB is a weight. They all weight, man. That's all they care about. But, he does look a little bigger, dude. He did not look... the only reason I say that is because he was so fucking jacked in the early 2000s. He was a bad motherfucker, dude. And he just did not have that swag last time I saw him playing out there. I just saw him running off the field, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. And then they just DFA'd him the next day. So.
Yeah, I think he's got foot problems or something. He
was hobbling.
Healthy.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a Hall of Famer, first ballot. What do you think, man? I don't know.
I don't think you can treat. I don't think you can treat. I mean, I know that was a bad All right, here's my take. That was a bad move by the Angels. It's a bad contract in the first place by the Angels. But releasing him like that is disrespectful. I feel like putting the... I mean, he's got to hit over 200. But putting the blame of where the Angels are right now, or in any part putting the blame on Albert Pujols, like, nah, fuck y'all. Your pitching sucks. That's your problem. You can't have... Like, their lineup is mean. But if you don't have pitching, you're not going to go anywhere in this league. You're not going to... Even if you somehow get Trout to the playoffs, you're going to get tore up in 5 and 7 game series with off days, dude. You're going to get tore up if you don't have pitching. If your best pitcher is your left fielder, and then your next best pitcher is... what's his name? Skaggs? Is that it? I don't know. Or Bundy? I don't know who they're
Yeah, Bundy, Skaggs, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to just think of who's the next best guy. Probably based off of last year, probably Dylan Bundy. I think putting, it seems like they made that move because they're like, well, we got to have more production out of the lineup. We can't be in third or fourth place or wherever they're at, and I get that. But shameful move, putting that on Pujols alone when you have failed in the last 2 off seasons to sign any significant pitching talent, in particular starting pitching talent. No, you can't do that.
I mean, I'm sure he felt like a veteran presence in the dugout. They got a new kid who's ripping the ball up. Who's the new man? The Angels, as much as we crap on them in the show, they always do have a 1 or 2 prospect.
Their lineup is great, to be honed.
Yeah, who is that guy? Walsh.
Yeah, Jared Walsh.
That dude is having a monster week, man, or month or something. He is just. It's interesting, of course, my boy Ohtani, but yo.
Yeah, I gotta correct myself. Skaggs isn't.
But it's all...
Tyler Skaggs is not the one who died. Yeah, I was talking about Andrew Heaney. Yeah.
I'm saying like this, man. Pujols getting DFA'd is somewhat respectful if a team like the Royals or someone needed a DH. That's what they spun it, I'm sure, like that. But I'm sure he feels disrespected in that he's on a team of a bunch of young hitters. Ohtani, Jared Walsh, the last year guy who was good. Fletcher, exactly. He could teach these guys a lot, but they don't want that. They got Trout. They don't care. It's a very win now league, man. We'll get into standings here in a second, but yeah, that was disrespectful. But I don't know, man. Who else is gonna retire he'll go into the hall as a Cardinal because of the World Championships?
Oh yeah, he's not wearing an Angels uniform on that plaque. I promise you that.
Yeah, man. You know how the Angels do. They're kind of disrespectful, man. Dipoto quit in the middle of the season, if that tells you. Man, speaking of the Angels and cops and all that, Brownbear, have you looked at Cole Calhoun's batting average this year?
I haven't, no.
You're going to want to look that up, dude. I looked that up the other day and was shocked.
Let's take a look. Let's check out some Cole Calhoun.
He plays for the Texas Rangers. He's one of those AL West guys. Every decade, there's a guy who just... AL
Did he play
West.
for the Diamondbacks?
Now he plays for the Rangers.
You're thinking of Willie Calhoun.
Oh! Oh, man. That is why I was tripping out. Willie Calhoun is good.
Cole Calhoun's batting .292. But he's only played in 13 games with 51 plate appearances this year.
Sorry, who's Cole Calhoun? This guy's a beast. Sorry, I was just looking at box scores. I haven't had a chance to watch those games yet.
Willie Calhoun is I think a little bit younger than Cole Calhoun. But he's a bad man too. For the he does play for the Rangers.
He has like a 340 batting average, right?
324.
Okay. Yeah, so this guy's good, man. The L West, man. Who would have known?
Different Calhoun, though.
Good to know. Good to know. Are they related?
No, not at all.
Dang, I'm really glad we clarified that here on the podcast, where answers get answers to my questions, because I would have just been sitting here thinking Cole Calhoun's batting 323 and plays for the Rangers. It's not true. He plays for the Diamondbacks. All right, let's get our second and last piece of our weekly roundup and maybe pull a card and call it a day. But here we go. Oakland had a sick stadium layout that they tried to sell in like a newspaper in the Bay, kind of like, here's what our idea is, and the city council, right, just shit on it. We're like we are not giving you the money for this. And so it kind of looks like they might not play in Oakland, which is kind of a travesty. The whole
part of me thinks this push is like pressure to put pressure on the city. You think they're going to let another pro franchise leave the city after losing the Raiders?
to the same city.
I know, right? So it sounds like it would be to Las Vegas is like the most likely move if they were going to relocate the Oakland team. And I don't know if Oakland's going to let that happen for another pro franchise. Although Las Vegas to me makes total sense for a place to have baseball, but I don't know.
Shout out to the Area 51s.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this happens a lot when there, are talks about new stadiums and stuff like that to put pressure on the city to provide those funds to do that. And I think they have something like $1 billion in private backing behind it as well too. So it's not like the entire tab is on the city, but I think it's more has to do with like the location and where they're going to be able to secure new land for it. Because MLB has said can't renovate the current stadium, it's trash. Can't use the same site, it's trash. And both of those, the current site and the current stadium, do not fit with the future vision of MLB. So you need to build a brand new stadium in a brand new location. And if you don't do that, we're moving the team. And the way I kept seeing it phrased is MLB approves potential move or something like that. But they're telling them that they gotta get to getting on a plan for that new stadium, or an approval of a plan for that new stadium, or they're going to move the team. I think it's 2024. I'm pretty sure the current contract is up at Oco or whatever they call it. Do they call it Rickey Henderson Stadium now?
I think so.
Yeah. But
it's a pretty shitty stadium, man. I can say
I think they have had like plumbing problems in the last few years. I think it's in like a fairly inaccessible part of the town.
Oh yeah, it's not near stuff really.
Yeah, so
man,
I think
Billy Bean's about to retire too. If we went a deep dive into that, he's not yet. He's still part of the organization.
About it. Yeah, we've talked about it. He said this is going to be his last year, I think. But yeah, anyway, I feel.
I wonder if Paul DePosta is taking his spot. I can't believe it, man. I can't believe the story of the Athletics, dude. Well, Baseball Hippie Show could only be about one other team. You know that.
Might say they got the A's are a thorn in the Mariners' side, but if I had to pick another AL West team to root for, it'd be the A's, no question.
Robert, they sit at 22-15. I mean, they're pretty undoubtedly one of the best teams in the league right now.
I don't know what it is about them, but that Moneyball vibes they were my pick for the AL West, and that's looking like a solid pick right now.
I don't know. What do they, I don't know about the politics, but I do know that losing a team like the Athletics is pretty devastating. I mean, I know the Raiders have a great fan base and probably have more fans in the area, but in terms of operation, man, they made a movie about the way your team runs. And the guy who runs your team, he still does the same thing. He's done it 3 decades in a row. And he literally, it's almost like the same format, Brownbear. If Matt Chapman ends up not being in Oakland A, you realize that Marcus Semien and Matt Chapman are just the Eric Chavez and Miguel Tejada, are just the Donaldson and the Cespedes. He just did it 3 times in a row. Now, people argue the first Moneyball team that won the 20 had Tim Hudson, Zito, and that third, they had like a triple-headed monster. He hasn't really recreated that, but he still has a great starting rotation every year. So losing a team like the Athletics, especially as a Mariners fan who could almost like opposite organizational structure for the last 20 years, just hella sad, dude. It's
Tim
like
Hudson,
sad
right?
to even see. Yeah, Tim Hudson. It's like not only do you lose your best players every year consistently, just having faith that your GM will find the new batch of scrubs to take the place and win the division again, which he does. You just then have to just know that your crappy stadium and your crappy site isn't good enough for the team execs, for the league execs, and you have this beautiful stadium idea on Lake Louise or whatever, and they just deny it, laugh at you. It's hard to be an A's fan, man. They play drums. I like the A's. I got nothing bad to say. They're we wish them the best. If they go to Las Vegas, that's a bummer to the Bay. But are the Giants still a bust, Brownbear? They are technically, as we sit today, the best team record-wise in the all of baseball.
I just don't see it as being sustainable, but I can be wrong. I'm no expert or.
All right. Well, I'm trying to connect crazy dots, and I don't watch a lot of Giants games, but they did get the GM from the Toronto who's mentioned in Moneyball. So he's not their GM, but he's part of their operation as like a contractor. And that pitcher, DeScafoni. This is kind of tinfoil hat here. Sorry, am I getting his name right?
Yeah, mostly. I think it's DeScalfani.
Also, I've been listening to a little 710 sports radio, and it is Passan. They talked about it because the girl on there was trying to say Passan, and they're like, it's not Passan. His name is Jeff Passan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect either. I'm sure I've called him Passan.
But it sounds like it should be Passan. Anyways, DeScafoni. What team was he on last year?
I'm guessing. I think it was the Reds.
The Reds, the same team that has allegations in the Substance video. He was on Bauer's team last year, bro. That isn't suspicious to you? One of the National League's best pitchers this year was on the same team as Bauer.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Tinfoil hat right now. We should watch a game of his because if his stuff comes off way crazy, then we know he's got some of that Garrett Cole clear gel.
I think he was also, this wiki is telling me he was injured for a lot of last year.
Yeah.
DeSclafani is what it looks like to me. DeSclafani.
Okay, I like to go through the standings at the end of the weekly roundup when we can, especially on short shows, which we'll end up soon. But who's winning the NL East right now, bro?
Well, the Mets are in first place.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, it's not crazy.
No, that's who I picked to win the. That's who I picked to win the division. So it's looking like I'm a fucking genius over here.
How many of your picks are winning the division? The Padres aren't winning it, but they're not
far behind. So all right, let's start with this. The NL East, we got the Mets, Phillies, Braves, Marlins, Nationals. I like that because I've always, that Nationals lineup to me is just trash. They got good pitchers. I think Strasburg's hurt, and that might change things if he comes back. But I do not like that Nationals team. I think that World Series was just like a fluke, and then they got rid of like their best players from that team. So anyway, I like that the Marlins are only 4.5 out, but I don't think that's sustainable. I think the Braves are probably a little bit better than they've been playing, and I think they've turned it around a little bit. Although this is telling me their last 10, they're 5-5.
Also, it does depend on this Acuna hitting. What's the MRI on his wrist? Is he okay?
I don't know. Your Phillies have been doing good.
It's really one of my only picks that look decent. Remember, can I just say something before you go too far in? A, your picks are looking really good this week, but B, I think we're starting to see separation from the pack, which is the hype teams like the Royals were real hype. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the Royals as one of the best teams in the league. They've cooled off. There's a lot of cool off, and now this thing where at the beginning where I was saying there's a lot of sure bets, the sure bets are starting to show themselves, I think, a little more is what I'm taking. The teams that have expectations to win, a lot of them are starting to win, including the Yankees, including the White Sox, including the A's, kind of Houston a little bit, but definitely including the Cardinals. And the only exception to that rule is the Dodgers have completely crapped the bed, minus the win against the Mariners tonight. And the Rays. I'd say the Rays aren't doing very well. And the Twins.
To back it up just a second, Acuna is day-to-day with a pinky contusion. X-rays were negative. So he would probably be back soon.
Okay. Good to know. A lot of 500 teams, I got to say, still, or like around that 500 as we talked about last week. But the Angels, 16-19, the worst team in the AL West. Whoa. Do you think that frustration might have led to that Pujols DFA? They're bad, man. What happened? Are the Red Sox sustainable still? I think last week you said maybe not.
All right, we're hopping around a lot.
Yeah.
Let's finish up the NL first. So,
okay.
NL East looks about right to me. I don't think the Nationals are going to be much better than they are. The Marlins sitting at about 400 win percentage sounds right to me. I think it's going to be between the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets. I do still think the Mets are going to come on top of that. I know they've been having some internal arguments and things that I think like Lindor and what's his name? The second baseman we almost got from them in that Diaz trade.
Not Jeff McNeil. No.
Yeah, Jeff McNeil. Yeah, Lindor and Jeff McNeil they were beefing over some defensive miscommunication. You hear about that?
Nah.
They got in a fight in the tunnel in the middle of a game, and then the reporter was trying to ask him about it, and I think Lindor was like, "Oh no, we were just debating. Like he thought he saw a rat," and I was like, "Nah, it was a raccoon." And I think the manager got pissed that they were even talking about it with the press or something like that. But everything seems good now. But it was just funny. I think they were fighting because they misplayed I don't know if it was a double play or what, but there's a defensive misplay on someone's part, and they got heated over it. But they're 8-2 over the last 10 games. I think if if DeGrom can avoid the injured list, it's going to be big for them. But he's hurt on like two parts of his side. He was hurt on his like upper back last week, and now he's hurt on like his mid to lower back this week. He had to come out of a start. Anyway, I think the NL East looks pretty. It's going to look like, it's going to be a battle between those top three teams. NL Central, my pick is looking pretty sweet. I think you picked the Brewers, though, right?
No, I tried to.
You changed. Yeah, you changed
it
to the Reds.
Who
you
look
changed
awful.
to the Reds. My bad. They're all right, man. They're only a game below 500. Yeah, I mean, I think this looks pretty real too. We know the Pirates are going to be on the bottom there. I feel like it's going to be like, I feel like the last 10 years it's been between 10 years is an exaggeration. The last 5 years it's been the Cardinals, Brewers, and Cubs battling it out like almost to the last game of the season, and I could see that happening again. But I do like seeing my pick at the top here. NL West is interesting. Diamondbacks and Rockies on the bottom. That's true. That's real. I think Rockies definitely on the bottom. Diamondbacks definitely the fourth best team in that division. I thought the Giants were not going to be this good, and prove me wrong, I guess. I think part of it is I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to it, but I'm pretty sure that Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, and Buster Posey are all having like resurgences at the right time, all in the same year. And then their pitching has been solid. I think we've talked about Johnny Cueto on the show before. We like Johnny Cueto. He's a fun pitcher. He's pitching well. Dave Sclafani, like we were talking about, he's pitching well. And then who's that other dude? I always get him confused with Kendall Graveman, but not Kendall Graveman. What's his name?
They're not just in a hard division.
Kevin Gossman. Kevin Gossman's having a great year for them as well.
They're not just in a hard division. They're in the hardest division in the league.
I'm going to go out here and I'm going to say the Giants are not sustainable as a 600 win % team. I don't think that is real.
Too many games against the Dodgers and Padres.
Agreed. And I think the Padres are hopefully going to come more into themselves as the season goes on. The Dodgers, Will, the Dodgers are not a 500 team. Like, that's just not true. I think there's a lot of injuries on the Dodgers, or there has been. I think once they get Bellinger back, like, big hit to them is Dustin May, Tommy John surgery, out for the season. But they're deep. They're deep, though. Like, they're going to be fine without him. But as soon as they get Bellinger back, I think that's going to turn things around a little bit. When is that going to happen?
Do you think Bellinger smokes weed, man? I kind of feel like he's one of those dudes that just does it, but he kind of gets accused of it a lot.
Yeah, he looks more like a frat bro than a stoner to me, but I could see it.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of professional athletes, as much as I would like to think they do, I do not think a lot of professional athletes smoke weed.
I'm with you. I
don't think it's conducive
to... Yeah.
There's too much like as like a long-time stoner, I feel like I can give some solid input on this. There's too much hand-eye coordination and like focus and depth perception that you need in baseball to be smoking weed and practicing. Like, I don't know. Even if you just only smoking,
I'm with you.
I just don't think it's sustainable.
I mean, this is just legend, but they talk about NBA players smoking weed and going to games, which would give me.
I think you could. I don't know. I feel like you could. I suck at basketball for one, so I'm by any means no authority on what it takes to play a regular basketball game, let alone a professional basketball game. Part of me thinks you could play a basketball game stoned easier than you could hit a fastball stoned. Is that
Maybe.
true? I feel like
I
that's
think,
true.
I mean, it kind of depends on how much you smoke weed and how good you are at the sport.
I mean, yeah, if you're just getting in the zone when you smoke weed, I don't know. Tim, I would like to know if Tim Lincecum ever pitched stoned in those back-to-back Cy Young years, because he got caught with weed in the off season. I'm pretty sure. I'd like to
I
know if
couldn't
he pitched
imagine
stoned.
it, man, but I don't know. It just seems like baseball is really time consuming. It just seems like it would be. I bet the bullpenners could get smoke weed. I
I
mean,
could
if you're
see
in
it
the
for like
bullpen
I
and you're
could see
pretty
it for like
convinced you're not gonna,
workout days and stuff.
yeah, or you're a starter and you just know you're not gonna pitch that night, you might get stoned.
But you're still throwing like bullpen sessions in between days and like I don't know, man. The stoner in me would love to think that there's these $1 million athletes out there just getting baked and like working on their curveball, but I don't think that's a thing. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. All right, let me get back to these
You
standings.
could be, man, and I don't mean to burst it, but there's a show in the NBA. There's a podcast called Up in Smoke or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like two former NBA players, stars, kind of, who just like smoke weed before the podcast and talk to players. Kobe was on it, but Kobe wasn't smoking weed. That's for sure. I'm with you, man.
All right, I need to do more research on this and figure out what's going on here with weed use in baseball and if people are using during the games. If that's on the record at all. I still stick by what I said. I think it would be easier to play professional basketball under the influence of marijuana than it would be to play professional baseball and either throw strikes or hit fastballs when you're stoned.
I agree with you.
But
I'm not denying that, man.
we'll see. We'll do a deep dive on that some other
I'm
time.
into it. But in a lot of ways, as just a counterpoint, it is muscle memory as much as shooting a basketball. So
Yeah.
I guess the only point I'm making when I ask, like, do you think Bellinger is a stoner, because of that one meme? He just gets this meme just makes him look like, the way the cross like fade worked, he looks like a stoner. But I think what I was trying to point out is like, there's some weird psychology in baseball, like Jared Kelenic, where like the more you are, I don't know, the more you are something, it kind of works to your advantage. Chris Taylor was a good point tonight. Like, he's just kind of nerd. I don't know. I just think if you can play into yourself, you don't have to be outside of yourself. Chris Taylor doesn't have to be Jared Kelenic. Kelenic doesn't have to be Bellinger. But as long as you play into yourself, you can be a good baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Chris Taylor's a great example. He's just like, he really has come into Chris Taylor. He's kind of scrappy. He can hit triples. He can put a little power into the ball.
It doesn't hurt that he can play every position on the field except catcher, really. I bet he could probably play catcher if he had to.
He's such a fucking gamer, dude. It's sad to say, as I watched him, I was like, this guy has grown up. You could tell he has just put a lot of time into his game. Give him credit for it.
Pretty sure he won like an NLCS MVP, something like that too. Solid. I'm checking out his batting average this year. He's batting .276 right now. Pfft, get out of town.
Chris Taylor.
Yeah. Plays outfield, plays shortstop, plays second base. I know he could play.
Imagine if
first or
we had
third.
Paul. Imagine if we had Jeff McNeil and Chris Taylor.
That'd be kind of tight. All right, back to the standings. Standings. Let's go through the AL East. Yankees are coming back a little bit. My pick, the Yankees. I don't like the Yankees, but I'm pretty sure they're still the best team in that division if all the pieces come together right. I do. Red Sox continue to prove me wrong, but I do not think that they are a 600 baseball team. But we could see. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think they got the pitching. They have a decent lineup, scrappy lineup. There's also some defensive garbage going on. Like whoever they have playing in left field, can't think of his name right now. You can't play left field in your home park and like misplay multiple fly balls in a game or multiple line drives in a game. And that one of those games we won against the Red Sox, there was 2 balls like hit over his head that he was running in on when he should have been running. I don't know. It didn't look good. I don't know, man. I'm not sold on this Rays team. They got good pitching, but I don't know. I'm not sure the Rays are gonna push for the division. I think I see it playing out kind of similarly to where it is right now. Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays. I don't think the Blue Jays have the pitching that it takes either. So it's really, I think, going to come down to the Yankees and if the Red Sox can sustain what they've been doing. But I don't think so. I think the Yankees are going to come out on top there.
Yeah. That'll be
AL
interesting,
Central.
man. Lines have been drawn in the sand. How you feel about the Yankees in Boston? Or, no, excuse me, Giants in Boston. Because I see one of them is going to make it to the end. And maybe I'm just being optimistic.
They may end up being wild card teams.
Okay.
I don't think they're sustainable as division winners. Is kind of what
I think the Red Sox could win the division. I'm with you with the Giants. The division, if the Dodgers do not win the NL West, that is a collapse. And if it's because Dustin May got injured, I don't know, man. You went out and bought the Cy Young after you won the World Series, and Dustin May wasn't even one of your starters in that fucking World Series. So give me a break, you know? If that's their excuse. I don't know how they feel. But.
Nah. I mean, they have Kershaw, Buehler, Urias, and Bauer. Like, that's a great 1 through 4. And then whoever they have replace. Get David Price. Like, I think he's coming out of the bullpen currently, but they could plug him in as a 5th starter.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to be just fine. Man. They're going to be just fine. AL Central.
And we both picked the Padres in that division, so that's funny.
We did. AL Central, we got the White Sox. I think this is legitimate.
Man.
Even with their current injuries.
Yeah. This is Josh's team. And he was just crapping on La Russa the other day. He was like, did you read that about La Russa not knowing the rule?
Oh, yeah. I was going to write that in the weekly roundup the other week. But, yeah, it was about – it's like the extra inning rule, right? And if the position that comes up to be the runner on base is a pitcher, you can opt to have the – 8th batter in the lineup run for him, and he didn't know that, so he put I think it was Liam Hendricks, who's a relief pitcher, and I think he had only been on base one other time in his career. And then they ended up losing that game, I'm pretty sure, with him on third. Nothing that he did in particular, but had there been like an experienced base runner on third, they would have changed their approach to the at bats, to the game. And you can't do that as a manager, like especially an old ass manager that people don't like, because you're gonna catch heat for it. But yeah, I like the way this is looking. White Sox, Cleveland. Actually, Cleveland's playing. I don't think Cleveland's as good. I guess they have really good pitching, so that's gonna result in some winning streaks.
Yeah, we gotta talk to Carver, man. Cleveland's 4 games over right now. It's crazy.
I think this Royals team is enticing and exciting, but I think this 16 and 18 is more in line with their abilities than leading the division by 4 or 5 games or whatever it was a couple weeks ago.
I agree.
Twins, I thought the Twins were going to be better. I think they were one of my wild card teams. But yeah, their pitching is atrocious. Other than Barrios, I don't even know how he's been playing. But their relief pitching is god awful. Cool seeing Byron Buxton play well, though. I like Buxton. I have Buxton's Player of the Month card in the show, and he rakes for me.
Buxton's been he's been one of the best players in the MLB.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome because I remember he was one of the top prospects for a long time, and then they were trying to bring him up, and I think he was like diving to catch a ball in center field and like dove into another player's knee. Had like a really bad concussion. Pretty sure that was Byron Buxton. Anyway, I like seeing him do well. Love seeing Nelson Cruz still playing, but if their pitching can't turn things around, I think they're going to, in particular their relief pitching, going to keep losing games. Tigers, they're still building. They're trash. AJ Hinch doesn't deserve to win, so yeah, they can stay in the basement. And then the AL West, Athletics on top. I like that. Astros are trash. Mariners at 500. That's cool. I think the Rangers have a surprisingly good offense. I was surprised by that when we played them. Their pitching sucks, so they're not really going to do that well, I don't think. And then the Angels, I've said for a long time, the Angels aren't going to be shit until they get better pitching. So it does. I mean, I'm a little surprised they're in last place technically, but I don't think the Angels are better than the Athletics or the Astros, personally, without any better pitching. So hopefully they can find a way to get some pitching at the deadline, because I don't hate the Angels as much as I hate the Astros or the Rangers. So,
man, it's gonna be kind of a dogfight in the AL West. That's why I think the Mariners have a chance.
But to answer your question from earlier,
Astros could. What's up?
I was sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say, to answer the question from earlier, 4 out of my 6 picks are leading their division. So I'm looking like a genius and feeling pretty cocky about it.
You're pretty good, dude. And one of those picks that's not up there is the Padres, which is kind of fluky almost. Because if the
both of the
Giants
divisions
weren't so, which it would have been a hard pick to call.
Both of the divisions that aren't
are the Boston,
leaders.
San Francisco.
Yeah, and the teams that I did pick are in second place in each of those divisions. So I feel pretty good about that.
Well, dude, I think we're kind of getting to the point. I don't think we're gonna do the card poll tonight. Is that cool with you?
That's fine. Yeah. We can wrap it up.
I think that's a great place to end. That Brownbear is pretty fucking good with the picks, but
we'll see how we're like 2 months in. We'll see how it looks at the All-Star break, and then I'll start.
It's still enticing. The league's just interesting because I didn't catch any of the early picks. I didn't catch Boston. I definitely didn't catch the Giants. But I don't think they're the only teams that are going to get. Like, I'm with you. They could either fizzle, stay hot, or another team could get hot. The sure bets are just anytime there's 6 sure bets, one of them's gonna fall. Who's it gonna be is the real question, man.
There's only 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 5 teams who are more than 5 games out of the lead of their respective division. So we're still at a point where anything could go, I was hating on the Nationals, but they're only 4.5 games out of the East. I mean, even the Pirates are only 6.5 games out of the NL Central. They're not going to contend, but, I think that goes to say anything can still happen. We're in such a young point of the season. Most teams are within 5 games of the division lead. And as we've seen, things can change pretty quickly. The only division that really looks like it's not competitive at the moment is the AL Central. It's between 3 teams. The Twins could come back from being 8 games out, but that doesn't look good right now. Being 8 games out 2 months into the season.
That'll be interesting, man. I mean, it'll be. It's all you know as much as anybody. It is a
Long
long season. It's a long season.
Truth.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've been kind of busy, to be honest with you, and I just my goal is to watch more baseball this week, man. Around the league, watch a little more. I've been watching a fair amount of Mariners, but just
We need that baseball red zone, dog.
I know I need that baseball red zone from Maria. That's such a good idea. I think a runner's on.
So
would
funny.
be
She just sent
fun.
me like a random text. She's like, "Is there like a red zone for baseball?" She's like, "I only like to watch the last 2 innings of the game." Oh no, I lost you, Jess. Where'd you go? Well, I think we were about to wrap it up anyway. Unless we get Jess back here in just a minute, we'll go ahead and call this a night. Switch it back over. Oh, we don't even have we don't got Seattle cam anymore or anything. All right, well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. The Baseball Hippie Show. I'm Engineer Brownbear. We are out.